morning. Thank
Good
you.
morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to our podcast.
So we are back with another podcast, and last year we did at San Jose at the Apple's podcast studio, and this time we are doing it again, but in an online format. So I hope you all enjoy our podcast. So let's start with introductions. So first, let's ask Alex. He's WWDC19 winner, and he won Swift Student Challenge. So Alex, tell us about yourself.
Hi everyone. I hope you remember us all from last year. If not, go ahead and watch the old podcast.
Yes.
To present myself, I'm Alex. I'm now 17 years old, and I have participated last year at WWDC19, and I've won this year's Swift Student Challenge. I'm quite happy about that. I love design. I love code. I'm from Germany, but also a bit Romanian. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to spending a beautiful time together with my two friends, Kanishka and Sergen.
Sergen, tell us about yourself.
Oh, okay. So hello, I am Sergen, and I am also a WWDC 18 and 19 scholar. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to win the WWDC20 student scholarship because I didn't, manage to get my project in time. But still, I am very happy to be with you all, and maybe hopefully we could meet again at WWDC21.
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah. And I've heard that you are a part of Turkish Kids. So what is the Turkish Kid about?
Well, Turkish Kids is an organization consisting of students just like you, Kanishka and Alex, and us, that are passionate about bringing the power of coding and design to more students around Turkey and around the world. And in there we do.
That sounds interesting.
Yes, we write tutorials and we have events. We organize cool stuff, and it is super cool.
Sounds amazing.
I have read so much from you guys, and I really think you have a really inspiring community over there. And I wish I had a similar community in Germany. I'm actually thinking about starting one myself, but who knows? Turkish Kid is a huge inspiration, I think, for most of us.
Oh wow, that is
for
amazing to hear.
Kanishka, you haven't told us anything about yourself yet.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'm Kanishka. I'm 16 and I'm from India. And I won WWDC19 scholarship last year, and I'm this year's Swift Student Challenge winner. A little more about my background. I am right now studying in my senior year of high school, and I am a CS Club leader, which is powered by Hack Club, which is like a company which sponsors CS Club for high schoolers. So yes, I'm a leader of CS Club, and I have been developing a social media app, like anonymous social media app for helping people to reduce their mental health problems.
Mental health is an important topic,
Wow,
and I'm super happy that you did that.
Yes.
That's great to hear that you are developing an app on that topic.
What did you guys actually do after WWDC? I'm wondering. I mean, we kept a lot in touch, but maybe tell our listeners and viewers, what were your plans? What did you do after that?
So after WWDC, I learned Swift UI, which is really it's really worth to learn Swift UI. And I started as I mentioned earlier, I started a CS club at school where I teach other high schoolers about CS and technology and programming in general. And I during this COVID, because of this COVID thing, and we have this lockdown right here, so I used the time for making the social media app that I described earlier. So that's what I did after WWDC. So again, what about you?
Well, the biggest thing for me after WWDC was obviously joining Turkish Kids, since I met the other people at Turkish Kids at WWDC19, and it has been amazing since then. We organized lots of events, like I think from what I remember, like 6 or 7 different events, all focused on bringing the world of coding to more students using Apple's technology. For example, using Sketch and Swift Playgrounds and Xcode. And wow, it has been a really great time. And also we did do a lot of FaceTiming with you both, Alex and Kanishka. That's that goes without,
Yes.
that shouldn't go without mention, of course. And besides joining Turkish Kids, I also did a lot of applying to university this year since I am in my last year
Yes.
of high school. And I also developed and released a new app on the App Store called Easy Privacy, which is a VPN app that is free, but it still doesn't sell your data. So I am pretty excited about all that.
Fantastic.
That's great.
Sergen and I, we have shared basically a similar path in the last year because we both graduated from high
Yes.
school and we were both on our big
Yeah.
college search where nothing's set yet. So it will be a big
Yes.
surprise to hear where we finally end up. I have also been active in a hack club at my school. I have taught the fundamentals of Swift UI, and we didn't talk so much about coding because that's a skill you can easily learn by yourself. We talked about the process of ideating cool startup ideas and how to pitch ideas to others, and then how you can collaborate on improving those ideas. And I think that was a really, really cool course. We had some really inspiring ideas. For example, one group decided that an alarm clock that makes you do chores at the beginning of the day, so you get up in a healthy and a really active way, helps you to become a better person. And I think that was quite fun. Like, you should solve math things, you should run around your house, something like that. And another group, they showed us a smart refrigerator idea that could automatically order things and groceries you needed and could show you what kind of recipes you can do based on what's inside with like a vision framework. This was seriously cool. And just seeing the spark in all my students' eyes, that's the best thing ever. And we all three know exactly this. Like Kanishka with your hack club, Sergen with Turkish Kid, even more people. I think that's a really beautiful thing. So would you all say that WW really changed your perspective on life and opened up a lot of new opportunities?
Well, yes, exactly. I can exactly say that. Like with Turkish Kid and with everything else, and like with seeing a lot of people and like just being together in this community and having the experience of going to WW has exactly changed my course of life a lot, and my vision also about life.
I think it opened us up to a whole new global community.
Yes,
Kanishka,
exactly.
Kanishka was the first person I became friends with from a country that is so far away from my own country through our community.
Yes, I remember.
How was it for you, Kanishka?
Like, actually, it literally changed my career path. I never thought I would be a developer, but after like I got selected for Apple, I started try to do more of the developer things and do more projects, and I met wonderful people like you and other people in the community. So that was totally a life-changing experience, honestly.
Absolutely. So, yesterday I've actually talked to Roland, another good friend of ours, who unfortunately can't help us host today because of time problems. But we did have an interview, and let's see what he told me about his dub experience and what later happened to him in his life. Nice to see you, Roland. We've been friends for more than a year now, since last WWDC. Tell us something about yourself.
What's up, Alex? Thanks for having me on. I'm glad that you guys didn't cancel the infamous yearly WWDC podcast in the event of what's happening. So, as Alex said, I'm Roland. I'm 19. I'm from Hungary. I'm a self-taught developer. I work with stuff like React Native, Node.js, and Swift, obviously. And I love building apps and designing them. That's my main forte. And right now I work for a startup called Extra, and hopefully soon I'm moving to Los Angeles.
That's awesome. That's really, really awesome. After last year's WWDC, a lot of things changed for you personally.
Oh, yeah.
Like, tell us a bit about that. What kind of opportunities did you get? Did your mindset change?
100%. So WWDCs were probably my favorite weeks of my life. I was lucky enough to attend in 2018 and 2019. It's just so cool to see like the Apple keynote live that I loved always watching through the live stream. All the events, labs, sessions in person, it was just awesome. And not to mention, I probably made a dozen friends there. You and I also met at WW, as you said, randomly in a restroom, which is another funny story for another time. Yeah, otherwise, in last year, in 2019, before I attended WW, I was lucky enough to meet up with a few Twitter friends of mine in Los Angeles and San Francisco.
That's awesome.
That's where I met the founders of the startup that I'm working with.
And back in the day, they were working on another startup, right?
Correct.
It was called Down to Shop, and they had like teleshopping, but in a cool and edgy, mobile-friendly way. And now maybe tell us, what is the current startup you're working and doing right now? What are you working on?
Yeah, so we are essentially reinventing the debit card. It doesn't only look sick as hell, but it helps you build your credit score and gives you points just like a credit card. We are a small team still, a team of 7. We're just pretty much a small pack of really talented people.
If you met little Roland like maybe 5 years ago or so, did you 5 years ago think that something like this could happen to you? Like that you could actually get a visa for the US and that you could travel over there and that you could be at so many conferences and like have this really open view on the world that you have right now?
Absolutely not. I think the WWDCs and being featured on the App Store was literally life-changing. And me being on Twitter has been probably way more valuable than any college degree that I could have gotten, because I gotten to meet so many awesome people. It's just life-changing.
Do you have any side hustles that excite you a lot?
Ooh, yeah. Even though I've had some less time to work on other projects, but I could not give it up. So I'm working on a Mac productivity app, which is a first for me. And all I can say, it's about time zones. And I'm also building a charity platform for Snapchat and a super secret music related app.
Okay, I definitely think that all our listeners and viewers will 100% follow you on your social media, which we have linked down below, and to hear more about it, because time zones is something that I hate a lot. I really do not like it. Like, good thing that we're in the same time zone, but whenever I talk to other people, there's so much coordinating going on. So if you build something like that, I will definitely use it. And I will also pay real world money for it, because your designs usually look quite nice.
Appreciate that. Hope it's going to help a bunch of people.
So Roland, thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate you having me on. And we're looking forward to WW and all the beautiful results that are going to come out soon. So
absolutely.
Much thanks.
You're welcome. And thank you for your time and the interview. Bye. See you.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon. Now I have to eat something because I haven't eaten anything.
This video is not going to be corrupted, because that would really suck.
Well, Roland has talked about his experience at WWDC and his life after WWDC. So now we are going to do our interview with Aurther, who is a completely different student, but still a very inspiring student from the UK.
And I had a talk with him yesterday, so let's see what he said. Okay, so we have Aurther Nadeem from London, and we are happy to have him at our podcast. So Aurther, tell me about yourself.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me here. I'm Aurther, as you may know, and I'm 16 years old from the UK. I'm currently stuck inside my house, working on a new album called Project Chicago for now. If you want to know more about the details, then you can go to the Twitter handle, Project Chicago, and you can learn more about that. You are a WWDC19 scholar, so what is your best takeaway from WWDC19? Well, WWDC19 was an amazing experience. It was easily one of the best weeks of my life. And the main and best takeaway I had was the amount of amazing people I met and connected with. Also, the Scholars Discord channel was just an
Exactly.
Just amazing to be part of a great community.
What are your tips for school and coding balance?
So mainly before WWDC, I try and keep a 25-75 split between coding and general life. So 25% of my week will be dedicated to coding and how to learn to get better at coding, and 75% will go towards everyday life. However, with me doing A-level computing next year, I'm going to have to change the ratio a bit, so it'll be 40-60. However, I recommend people to keep their balance below 50%, so you don't give half your week to just coding, as it can get a bit stressful.
Yes.
However, even during WW season, I tend to go towards 50%, but I never go over it.
So right now we saw last year applicants, and now we're going to see this year applicant who made awesome playgrounds, and they were selected for Swift Student Challenge. So let's start with Alex's project. He got selected for Swift Student Challenge. So Alex, what did you make?
So there's a funny story around my whole playground, because I was actually writing my final exams at school just 2 weeks after the 1 week we had time to build our playground. And I really wanted to do it because last year was such an awesome experience. So I sat down and I thought, what can I do so that I don't feel that bad because I'm not studying? So then I decided, hey, I have to write one of my finals in physics, and I love physics. Why don't I create a simulator that simulates exactly what part of my exam is, which is waves and oscillations? And it was a ton of fun. Like, using the formulas you had learned in class in your own playground and building a simulator that is really reactive, fun, and interactive. I had a 2D simulation of some oscillating motion. You can watch my video on YouTube too, or you can download it on GitHub. And I had a 3D visualization where you could tap one sphere and it would start oscillating, and you could see how the wave spreads through space. And if you wanted to, you could even go into the augmented reality mode and experience it like in the real world. So this is what I have built this year. And I'm really, really happy that it worked out.
And Alex, what technologies did you use?
I used SwiftUI for all the 2D rendering, even for the animations. No sprite kit was used. And for the 3D stuff, I used SceneKit and ARKit. Oh, and to make calculations faster, because for every teeny tiny thing, I have to use a physical formula, and I have to do this for every single frame. I used the Accelerate framework to have calculations that are supported by the graphics card. So everything is buttery smooth.
Yes, that sounds awesome.
Yes. So, Kanishka, what about your project? What have you made for the challenge submission this year?
Okay, so I have also an interesting story. May month, like May every year, is a mental health awareness month. And this year, the submissions were during May. Usually they're during March, but this year it was during May. And it was Mental Health Awareness Month, and I created a playground for mental health awareness using SwiftUI, UIKit, Combine, and AV Foundation. It was a Mac Xcode playground, and like all the features of the playground were, it showed the symptoms of different mental health issues like depression, anxiety, and loneliness. And it showed some really practical and healthy tips for, for having like better mental health, like not getting into too many issues. And then there were few activities. I made like a card swipe of few activities that one can do during this whole COVID lockdown, so they can feel less lonely and less left alone. So this was my playground.
A really important topic, in my opinion.
So, Kanishka, what technologies did you use for your playground?
I use UIKit, SwiftUI, AV Foundation, and okay, one major tips to everyone. Like if you're making the playground, try to implement some type of programming architecture, or like some kind of concept. Like I use object-oriented programming and protocol-oriented programming in few parts, which made the code very flexible and robust. So try to be creative while writing code, and Apple really observes that thing.
Sergen, what have you built?
Yes, so there is a very, very funny story about my submission and the whole submission thing this year about me. So first, I was building a really big and like really cool project about COVID-19 using reality kits, CreateML, and AR kits, and SwiftUI, and Combine, and like basically almost all of Apple's technologies. And obviously, I couldn't make it in time. So I was so close, and I had a working iOS app, but I couldn't, convert it to a Swift playground in time. So what I did was, in the last hours of submission, like in the last hours before the submissions closed, I made another app, a very small app, getting inspiration from what we did at Turkish Kit. We had started a new series, a new blog series in Turkish Kit, in which we were developing small apps and making tutorials on how to make them step by step. And I converted one of them to a playground that teaches how to develop apps in SwiftUI step by step. So it's basically so there was basically a water tracking app, a single page one that you could use to track how much water you drank during that day. And I made an Xcode playground on that one, and I added a lot of markup, which told everyone. And this playground's purpose was to, teach everyone how to make apps step by step. So this was basically answering the question, how do developers make apps? So how are the apps actually getting made? And the answer to that was in the playground, which showed a real app and which showed every piece of it, and the apps are made, using small pieces, and putting all those small pieces together, that makes one app. And that playground's purpose was to teach that whole concept interactively. And
that's kind of meta. It's so meta. Like you build a playground on how to build an app.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like,
and also, how did you build it in such a short amount of time? Like, I'm still impressed by it because I tested it out and it's fully fledged. I love it. It's nice.
And well, I think it's thanks to the power of SwiftUI. I developed it using SwiftUI, and believe it or not, it was only 100 lines. So like a complete full page app in like 100 lines from start to finish. And that was exactly that exactly showed the power of SwiftUI, like how really amazing it is. And I submitted it in the last minute, or maybe the last seconds, I think. And although it hasn't been accepted, I think it was still like not a bad playground. I'm still proud of it. And I'm still proud of at least trying and at least having submitted a project. And
we are proud of you. That was great.
Thank you. And the reason I think it was not accepted this year, it might have been really small. So like SwiftUI is really powerful. It might have been too powerful because it was only literally 100 lines, even though it was a fully functional app.
It was SwiftUI is too powerful. I love that. That's a quote that Apple should like put on their marketing page for developer tools. Genius. But I also loved your playground. I tried it out. I think it's beautiful. And good thing is, since no one goes to America right now, we can still be together nonetheless.
Yes. And we can still experience WWDC together, and maybe next year physically. Well, I hope if they open the applications up next year.
Definitely. So we have interviewed a couple of other people for whom this is the first time applying to Apple's scholarship, in this case, the Swift Student Challenge. Yeah. Let's take a look at the two interviews.
Hello there, Dave. Welcome to our podcast. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing great. And first, congratulations for being a winner.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thanks. Introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Dave. I'm currently going into junior year in university. I go to university at Lehigh, which is a school in Pennsylvania, and I'm studying computer science and business with a minor in entrepreneurship. And I'm originally from Manhattan Beach, California, which is a small city in Los Angeles. So, yeah.
That's great. So, you won WWDC. So, what was your WWDC20, Swift Student Challenge 20 playground about?
It was a social distancing simulator. Basically, what I did was I wanted to show, especially people my age and people a little bit older than me, kind of the effects of social distancing and how effective it is. Because I've noticed, especially in the United States, there's a lot of conflicting stories about how valid social distancing is, and especially wearing masks. So basically what I did is I used Sprite Kit in my playground to create a whole bunch of small dots. And those small dots would move in a random sort of fashion and bounce around the playground or in the box. And one dot would be infected from the very beginning. And then I created a graph of kind of how quickly the infection was spread amongst all the other dots. And as I went on with my playground, I incorporated a lot of different testing cases, like social distancing, where dots would remain in one place, and forced distancing, where I created a little wall that opened gradually as time went on to kind of emulate different countries' approaches. I also enabled people to choose the speed of how the dots were interacting with the other dots, as well as the number of dots, and included an asymptomatic mode where dots that would get infected by the other dots would not appear infected, and as well as a recovery, which after 10 seconds, those dots would turn green if they had recovered from the virus. And finally, a game mode where you can control a little dot and kind of avoid all the other infected dots around you. So that was a little bit about my playground.
So was it a Mac or iPad playground?
It was a Mac playground, yeah.
Xcode run, right?
No, I didn't use the Xcode. I used the new Mac Playgrounds app that they built the last year, yeah.
And I think it's a really important topic since the protests going on in US, the protesters sometimes they're not even wearing masks, and that increases the risk.
Yes. Exactly.
True. And one more question is, like, most of the applicants of Swift Challenge, they're almost studying in school. So I want to ask, what is the main point for time management as a student and as a programmer?
For sure. I think it was very different before COVID-19 than after, especially. I have a really bad tendency of, getting involved in a lot of different things, and then ultimately some of those things end up falling through and I only get to work on certain things. So I guess my biggest piece of advice is really know what you're getting into and only commit to things that you can give 100% to. Because schoolwork is so important and it takes a lot of time to do it well, I found that I really, like, after freshman year, I found the need to really, drop some of my commitments because I felt like I wasn't giving enough time to the things that I was. And especially after COVID, we had more time, and I decided to get involved in this PPE for NYC project where we were delivering PPE to different hospitals and precincts in New York City. And we ended up, giving face shields to protesters when that started. And that was a large time commitment along with my studies. So I really had to prioritize doing that and working on, all my other school stuff and basically nothing else during that time. And thankfully, when school stopped is when the WWDC thing opened up for submission. So that was perfect timing. But I don't think I would have applied if that was kind of in the same time frame. Yeah. As the PPE for NYC project and school at the same time. So yeah.
I get it. Like, I'm in 12 science and I build apps. I am working on different internships. So I have to sacrifice the social life for that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was great having you here. So have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on.
So, hi Praveen. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
You have applied to this year's Swift Student Challenge, correct?
Yep.
And it's your first time at WWDC then?
Yeah.
So, update for our listeners. Yesterday, the results came out. So we know more. And guess what? He actually got in. So these are some congratulations from all of us. Maybe you can tell us something about where you live.
I'm from the Isle of Man, which is a crown dependency in the UK. It's a little island basically, and it's quite small. Everyone knows each other. And it's just a quite nice place.
What was it like to build your first playground?
It was actually quite interesting. It was not as easy as I expected it to be. It was because my original plan was to implement a genetic algorithm, and it took more time than I expected it to. So, but other than that, it was really fun because playgrounds are super powerful and they're really interesting to use.
That's cool. Do you have any other like friends or colleagues who also code, or is it like your only passion?
I'm part of the Alman Code Club, and there's quite a few like-minded individuals, and they all do coding. But I don't know anyone who's entered the Swift Student Challenge from the Alman personally.
That's actually quite cool. It takes a lot of courage to like make something, put it out there. Yeah, and we're all extremely proud of all the scholars. And who knows, maybe we will also be invited next year to the actual in-person event. Might happen because there was an interview, I think, by Forbes magazine with Esther Hare. So who knows, maybe we'll meet each other in person. I would definitely appreciate it.
That would be amazing.
So tell us something about your playground.
My playground was basically a AI that evolved like real life evolution. It uses something called a genetic algorithm, which follows real life evolution to evolve an simulated AI. So it was just teaching about the concepts of genetic algorithms and how they work.
I actually tried it out. You made it for Xcode, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting topic. And also, I, in my opinion, you're quite young, but you still have this understanding of such a cool topic. I really think that's interesting. Can you tell us where you learned about all of that, all the knowledge?
Mostly it was just from my own research and just self-learning, because I've always been interested in these sorts of things. So just looking around and everything, I just learned everything slowly, and I've always been fascinated by it. So yeah.
That's the spirit we're looking for. And the algorithm itself, did you like base it on a known algorithm, or did you think of different ways to do it?
I was actually watching quite a few videos on YouTube about genetic algorithms, and that's when I first learned about them and was quite interested by them. So I researched around and I found this paper written by some graduates of Stanford University, and that's the implementation I used. It's called NEAT.
That's neat. The results came at, I think, 5 p.m. your time, right?
Yeah, it was about 5:30. Yeah.
How was your reaction?
Well, I actually set up this little script that would give me a notification, and it reloads the page every minute. And then the minute I saw that notification, I looked up and I saw the words "congratulations," and like I couldn't breathe for a full like minute almost.
Yeah, it's a big achievement, and it's something that only 350 people around the world get to enjoy. Then on the other hand, I think everyone who applied to this really did a good job and really did learn something, because we always push personal boundaries. Everyone tries out something they haven't done before. Was this your first time doing machine learning, or did you do it some time before?
I've done some other machine learning before, but this is my first time doing stuff like self-evolution and learning about genetic algorithms.
That's awesome. You should maybe talk to Rick, because he is, in my opinion, the biggest ML wizard amongst us scholars. He's really cool, and I think you might vibe with him. What framework did you use to build your playground? Because it had a very interesting aesthetic, in my opinion.
It was SwiftUI for the overlays. So there was basically the actual evolution of the cars underneath, and there was an overlay describing what was happening at each stage, and that was all built in SwiftUI. And for the actual game, I made it in SpriteKit.
Okay, cool. Did you take the whole week, or were you ready after like half a week?
I took the whole week. Like the first 3 days was just implementing the algorithm and just reading through a bunch of the papers, and then it was just a final rush at the end where I was just cleaning all the code up and everything, and just handing everything in.
Do you want to tell us anything else? Anything you want to share with the world?
I think that if you are interested in programming and coding and whatever you are interested in, you should try and look into how you can learn it. And if you can try and look for other projects you can do or competitions you can enter, and just try and do whatever you can.
That's a wonderful piece of advice. I think there are so many resources out there. You just have to grab them. Praveen, thank you so much for our talk. I really appreciate it. I think you are quite a cool individual at such a young age to do this. And I'm really happy that you actually got the scholarship this year.
Thank you.
And thanks for taking time, even if we had technical hurdles, to like give a little interview. Thank you.
Thank you too.
So right now we saw all these scholars with really lit portfolios and playgrounds. And now let's segue to some lit predictions and like really hard predictions for WWDC20.
Exactly. I am super excited for this year's WWDC.
Yes.
Because I do think that a couple of interesting things might happen. I have tried to stay away from the rumors, but I can't help myself but give out my wishes. What are your top predictions?
Yes, this year's WWDC is, I think, going to be home to some really cool stuff getting announced. And there are some very interesting rumors around the internet. And well, I believe they are all real, since they are all very cool stuff. And maybe there's a talk of, you know, some big transitions that are going to happen this year, and some cool new features in iOS 14. Yes, there is going to be a big transition, right? Hopefully.
I've heard about this big transition, and I've talked to Roland about this actually. There were also rumors that they might switch to an ARM architecture. What do you think about that?
I am really excited to see that. I remember reading about, because I was really tiny then, when they used to switch from PowerPC chips to Intel. And I remember that was a big turning point where they had to, you know, recompile all binaries and change up a lot of code and people's apps. So I wonder how they're going to handle it this time. I'm really excited for that. But ARM should, you know, provide way better efficiency and performance compared to Intel.
I still remember when Steve Jobs came onto stage then. I saw that video, quite interesting. And he said macOS actually has had a double life for the last, I don't know how many years, because they had been compiling it for the new platform since many years before that. And that's interesting. Do you think like the current macOS version has also been compiled for ARM for the last 10 years and no one knows? And they were like, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. And then next week they go out there and say, hey, we have finally finished it. Here you go.
Well, we've been hearing rumors about an ARM Mac for quite a few years now. And I think actually Catalyst will play a huge role in that transition, but we'll see. I'm excited to see if they pull off any hardware of that sort on DubDub. And I'm excited to see maybe the rumors might be correct that there's a new iMac design coming.
Okay, so maybe ARM support is coming to the Mac. I'm really excited for it. What are your thoughts on this? I could really use some Apple tailor-made chips to speed up my Final Cut workflow or my Xcode dev experience.
Yes, I think it has a lot of potential, and it is going to be amazing, I think, because, you know, Apple's ARM chips are already very powerful. You know, the chips on the iPad Pro are even more powerful than the 13-inch MacBook Pro in multiple benchmarks.
They are.
Yes. So I think Apple is also thinking that it's time to switch the chips and get a much better experience. And I think with the ARM switch, I think we could get a huge boost in battery life, since the new chips will consume like about 5 times less power than the previous ones. So we could maybe get, like a 20-hour battery life in a Mac, for example. And it would be like very,
Wow.
very cool. It would be game changing. And Kanishka, what are your thoughts?
Okay, so I have an interesting one. I was like, all the time I was thinking that Swift 2.0 will be like a next big change. But I have been very active on Twitter nowadays, and I saw that maybe Xcode on iPadOS can be the next big thing. And that would be so great. Like, you can use Xcode from your iPad.
Like, yes,
Yeah.
I think it could change our whole workflow. And I
Yeah.
think I would just start using it immediately, because right now I am carrying my Mac almost whenever when I go outside. And, having the chance to cut all that weight and carry just a very lightweight iPad and still being able to do all my work wherever we go, I think it could be a great boost to our productivity and all of the developers' productivity.
But then please give me a command line. How am I supposed to develop real apps without a command line? I want to look like a real hacker when CDing into different directories and mkdiring and removing
Yeah.
things and running cool command line interfaces. I want that.
Every time you use terminal in front of your non-programmer friends, you feel like the power that you are a hacker and not developer. Like,
You
all the
basically
developers can feel it.
you basically seem to them like exactly this kind of person, the one who dresses up. If people are only listening to this podcast, I have put on my mask over my eyes and it looks like I have a black pair of sunglasses. My top prediction and my number one wish would be Swift UI revamped. I think that so many Swift internal teams finally know about Swift UI since last year's WWDC, and they can finally implement their own specialized views. Like I'm thinking of, for example, MapKit views, Safari controllers, etc., etc., etc. We can finally implement them with real SwiftUI bindings and not having to go through this whole UI view controller representable thing, which is not hard, but it's a bottleneck. And I would love to have more native options, collection views, things like those. And the biggest thing I'm looking forward to, but I don't think this will happen. But still, I would wish. Expand SwiftUI to augmented reality. Make it easy for people to also declaratively describe 3D interfaces. It's so hard to build a 3D or AR app if you don't know anything about vector mathematics. It's really hard. And I wish they made it easier. So that's what I'm wishing for.
Yes, that would be super cool. Like, I haven't heard of that idea before, but I am in love with that, because since I also got experience with developing AR from building the Swift Student Challenge submission this year, that's exactly how it is like. So you do all the vector mathematics yourself right now. Like, there isn't even a kind of thing like an auto layouts engine. You have to do all the calculations yourself manually using the Accelerate framework. And having a thing like that in AR would really, I think, expand the adoption of AR to everyone, and maybe help prepare for Apple's biggest product launch since the iPhone.
Don't leak anything.
It's just 2-3 days for the WWDC. And and like you have to be you have to be first a vector algebra expert before you go into any AR or reality kit stuff. So I really hope that they improve something and make it easier to implement reality kit and AR kit and all the 3D stuff.
But then on the other hand, there's Yuma, who is a real AR expert, and he is not as advanced in school that he has had all these vector things there already. So he taught everything to himself, and this guy just rocks. I'm always so happy when I see his playgrounds because they're so cool, and for his age, Jesus Christ, that's like awesome. So I guess it's still accessible, but having a Swift UI binding to 3D space would be even more accessible. So Apple, make it happen.
Yes. And about Yuma, like Yuma just rocks. Yuma, like, if you haven't heard of Yuma yet, he is the youngest WWDC scholar ever. And he has been attending WWDC as a scholarship recipient since WWDC17. And he rocks. He's a legend. I mean it. Like, both in terms of his apps and all of his projects, and as a person. I have had the chance to meet him at WWDC19.
Oh, yeah.
He is
really
super
nice.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's just 12-year-old person, like a 12-year-old guy, and other people are like other 12-year-old guy. They are just playing game or doing like study stuff. And this guy, he's making stuff that even people with degrees can do.
Exactly. And this again shows me the power of our community, because through our Discord, through social media, we all connect. We're all from different backgrounds, different cultures, different passions, but we have some things that connect us. We all love to code. We all love design, or at least most people.
Obviously.
And we come together in an open-minded way. And this is what I find so beautiful about our community, and I'm really thankful for it.
Yes, I think having the chance to attend WWDC as scholars, I think it has, it has shown the power of the community to us more than anything else, I think.
Absolutely.
And
Okay.
Kanishka, what are your thoughts on any new Apple technologies or about WWDC?
There are some rumors that they may bring back AirPower this year. So we gotta wait till WWDC. So we can get to know that is AirPower really going to be the next big thing that Apple is going to launch or not?
No one knows. We'll all
Yes,
find
no one
out
knows.
by,
That's
when is it? June 22nd.
exactly. Yes, so as you might know, Apple's developer app has been revamped in preparation for the WWDC this year in the new all new online format. And there is a big update in the iOS app and an entirely new Mac app developed using Catalyst that has been released, I think, about 2 days ago from this podcast. And I think that WWDC is going to be a very different experience than what we have experienced last year, since it is an all-new online format. Well, this is what Apple's marketing says, honestly, but it might be because of some pandemic or virus as well. But still, we are very excited to see what Apple brings to the table. And I am very excited about WWDC being accessible to a host of millions of new developers around the world that hadn't had the chance before.
WWDC every year is like a developer Christmas. Like, it is 1 week when all the developers celebrate their own Christmas, and they celebrate about like apps and new programming stuff. Like, it's a new beginning for developers every year. So we all are celebrating us during WWDC.
Absolutely. And I really love that we can all come together. And there are so many sub-communities that have formed. Watch Together groups, for example, that you can join. Our Discord.
Scholars
If
group.
one of you viewers
Yes.
is still looking for people to watch WW together with or to talk to us, then make sure to drop us a line on social media or to join
Yes.
the Scholars Discord. We're looking forward to all of you. I think it's a great time to connect, and no matter of your age, wherever you're from, the community is open for you. And yeah.
Yes, like
Yes.
even if you're a professional developer who is, maybe miles away from being a scholar, you will still be very welcome there, I promise. So please join the WWDC Scholars Discord if you want to experience this together.
It is a developer's comfort zone inside our Discord. Like, we talk about the most nerdiest thing in the server, like about software, about Swift, how we can make robust code, and like about everything Swift. You will totally enjoy that experience.
If you're still listening to this, thank you so much for joining us in this podcast and listening to our stories, to the stories of our fellow scholars and Swift student challengers. And thank you so much for just supporting us as a community. We are looking forward to the next podcast and want to say thank you to all people who make this possible, be it the Apple people, be it our families, friends, etc. Basically everyone. If you want to apply to WWDC next year, maybe, absolutely do it. And we're looking forward to talking to you in the developer forums or on Discord and on social media soon. And until next time, in approximately 1 week, thank you so much and see you!
See you!
See you!
See you!
Whoa!